My thesis for adult friendships is you want high intensity, high proximity experiences, which is what like a weekend trip with friends is. And you'll notice that it actually mimics how you made friends as a kid, because being stuck in school together and doing stuff together is really high intensity, high proximity experiences. I found that sometimes in school, for example, I would go and have dinners with people like all the time, and I actually never became friends with them because they were just low intensity experiences. But over the past couple years, I've made essentially all my friends through these high proximity, high intensity like weekend getaways, and then from there we can do really low intensity things and maintain our friendship over time. That was a long intro, and this is by no means the only way to do adult friendships, but if you want to plan a weekend getaway with your friends for a birthday, for an anniversary, for a celebration, for Christmas, for your family, whatever, and you want to do it in like a templatized way, then here's how I do it. Okay, so weekend friends getaway template on Notion. I will link below just like the template that you can use if you want. Okay, so my thesis on adult friendships, again, is that you want high intensity, high proximity activities in order to make good friends. That can be like a rollerblading trip or going camping or going to church every weekend or something like that. But this is an example of a high intensity, high proximity experience. And then from there, you can use lower intensity activities like dinners and going on walks and stuff like that to maintain and grow those friendships, but you need that initial spark. Okay, so here are the sections of this template. We start with an overall timeline. Oh my God. Essentially, you want to send invite texts like 1 to 2 months before, and you want to text everyone individually because a bunch of people are going to say no. So if you text a group chat, it's going to be very awkward. Your list needs to be at least twice as long as the people you expect. You might want to ask for deposits depending on how flaky your friends are and how expensive this trip is. Then you want to send out the logistics text, which I have a template of below, 2 weeks before. Make sure that everyone recommits at this point because you're going to have an enormous dropout flake rate depending on your friend group and how many people you invite and stuff like that. But I would anticipate at least 30 to 50% of people are going to drop out, which is again why the deposits and asking people again and again if they're going to come is very important. You will probably, if there are people flaking, invite new people, so you need a backup list that's also very long. At the end of it all, you'll send out Venmo requests based on the final budget breakdown. I always have like a left to do section, which is all the tasks that I haven't gotten done yet. These, by the way, are like partially real, partially not real names, so don't look into it too much. I don't know if it's actually fully consistent. I like to pay attention to who's going to be sleeping in what rooms, because if you have couples, obviously, they're actually kind of nice because they can sleep in the same room, versus if you have, a bunch of girlfriends, they can sleep in the same room, who know each other, but there's a lot of people who might feel uncomfortable sleeping in the same room as others. So even though like an Airbnb or a Vrbo or whatever says that they have room for 10, it might not really be 10 if your friend group can't stay in the same room. So that's something to consider. In terms of how to do these successfully, so you want to make sure that every person knows at least 1 to 2 other people so that they feel comfortable. Otherwise, they're much more likely to flake. I think it's like nice to kind of consider genders so that maybe you do an all-girls trip or an all-guys trip, but it's just something to be aware of. You definitely want to know how many couples there are, mostly because it tells you how many rooms people will need. And then, of course, you want to pay attention to what are their personalities like, because some people, are really rowdy and want to drink with their friends, and some people just want to like watch movies every night, and those can clash. Okay, so for the friends board, why I think this is a great template is because for future events, if you host one of these like every year or every 6 months or etc., it's actually just really useful to have a list of friends that you frequently want to invite in the city or whatever. And so I keep this list here. Again, these are not real names. I also like to just in parentheses write a little bit about them or how I met them or things like that. A, because some people have the same names, and B, because it helps you realize who knows each other. Like your friends from school might know each other versus your friends from summer camp might know each other, etc. And then as you invite people, you can drag them over And as they have confirmed, and maybe left a deposit, but primarily confirmed, you can move them into the final category. Yeah. Next, in terms of the logistics section, most people, I think, book these with Airbnbs, but I actually prefer booking with Vrbo or Hotels.com because I often get better deals on them, particularly Hotels.com. I'll link actually my video on cashbacks because I'm a cashback queen and I get great cashbacks through Hotels.com. But very frequently people will do this through Airbnb. And so I just put an example Airbnb here. It's nice to know what the distance is and the time. You probably want to add at least 30 minutes to the time. And if you're leaving on a long weekend, you need to figure out how long it takes usually on a long weekend. So for example, a trip that's usually 2.5 hours on a long weekend might turn into a 5-6 hour trip. Something to be aware of. Okay, in terms of cars, your two biggest cost drivers for running one of these events is housing and then cars. So if one of your friends has a car, they will save you a ton of money. So see if you ask around. Otherwise, you can use Turo or another rental car service like Hertz, etc. to book a car. You want to pay attention, by the way, on those sites for how much you'll be charged for miles and whether they have delivery. Delivery is great. They deliver it to your door. Otherwise, you're going to have to Uber to pick it up. And then often they have unlimited miles, but only within a certain range. So if you're trying to go across state borders or something, it's going to be a more expensive trip. And then this part just tells you how many cars, is it going to be delivered or not, pickup times, you can read, etc. And then of course, your designated driver. In terms of food, what I found is to be the most effective types of food planning is group meals that can be very quickly put together. So hamburgers are a really great example of this. Tacos are a great example of this. Spaghetti, lasagna, dumplings that you can pre-make. Essentially, things that you can make very quickly with a large group of people that do different jobs, like slice onions and tomatoes and stuff like that, are the best types of meals. So this is just an example. And then I write down all of the ingredients I need and cross them off as I buy them. From there, we have an activities board. Again, I actually think the best part of this, which is very similar to why I love the friends board, is that you just have a growing list as you use this template more and more of activities you might do at any given moment. Some of these activities require other things. So for example, if you're doing a fall weekend getaway, you might want to do pumpkins and pumpkin carving, and you need a Sharpie in order to, or you need a pen or something in order to draw on the pumpkin. If you're doing drinking games, you'll maybe want a beer pong table, red Solo cup, ping pong balls, etc. And then I have a list of things that I've already done or I'm planning to do for this trip. So this might be my overall list, for example, and then I drag it to here for the specific event that I'm hosting. So, for example, for this event, you might want things to play music, you might want some photography stuff. One of the really fun things you can do is leave a disposable camera around. I actually use a reusable disposable camera, but essentially leave an easy to use camera around and your friends can take cute photos. If you want to do campfire and s'mores, and then any other things that are just easily accessible, like hiking or board games or hot tubs, if your Airbnb happens to have one. I think it's great to ask your friends to bring stuff. One friend may have a speaker and the other friend has board games, the other friend has a poker set or has cards or whatever. It's a great thing to do. And then these are templatized texts that you can send people. So this is an invite text, this is the logistics plan, this is the Venmo request, and then finally I've broken down the beginnings of a budget for one of these trips. Now, the trip that I have here is actually a very expensive trip, and how you choose to cover it can be in different ways. I've seen people who are a bit older who cover the entire trip. Sometimes they'll cover just the lodgings and everyone else splits everything else, which is what's the case here. Sometimes you have everyone split everything. Sometimes you have the birthday person not split anything. So this is totally up to you. You also don't have to go to a huge Airbnb. This can be you can host a sleepover using the same template. But hopefully I know it sounds a little crazy to templatize these, but it's because they actually take a lot of work to host these like really fun experiences for your friends. And so it's nice to, one, learn from all of the work you've already done, and two, build off of it and systematize it so that it's easily repeatable so you can spend more time having fun, less time planning these goddamn things. Okay, that's all I had to say. See ya. Just want to reiterate that it does not have to be so expensive. You can manipulate this template in any way that you want to make it fit your needs and make it fit your budget. I think this is just a template for having meaningful experiences with people you care about. I don't need to explain myself, but I kind of want to explain that like where I learned this from is from people who are a few years older than me. And so they've just had a few years to accumulate like money, and they hosted these, and that's where I was inspired to start hosting these. So maybe it's just for a period of time too. But if you like want to use this for your own experiences and it's helpful, then that's awesome.